Barcelona and PSG gave us a phenomenal tactical battle, full of fascinating details and decisions. Let's break down in detail what happened in this match. The game started with a breathtaking performance from Lamine Yamal, who beat 3 players on his own and delivered the ball into the penalty area. And already in the first minute, you could feel this was going to be a special match. Now let's move closer to tactics. PSG defended in a 4-1-4-1 shape, with Vitinha playing as the holding midfielder. The most interesting thing I want to highlight is Vitinha's man-marking role against Dani Olmo of Barcelona. He followed him everywhere across the pitch. Wherever Dani Olmo went, Vitinha was right there with him, never leaving his side. At the same time, Vitinha also had to cover the left half space, the area between Nuno Mendes and Pacho, where Dani Olmo often tried to make runs in behind. But Vitinha executed his role brilliantly. He shut Dani Olmo down completely and essentially erased him from the match. We barely saw Olmo at all, which was exactly down to Luis Enrique's tactical choice to assign Vitinha this task. In this sequence, you can see how the defensive line breaks when one of the PSG center backs steps higher. Olmo tries to attack the depth, but since Vitinha is always tracking him, these runs were neutralized. His man marking stretched across the entire pitch, and Barcelona quickly realized this. So Olmo began to move more actively, drifting across different zones to drag Vitinha away and create new spaces. By the 9th minute, Olmo was already showing up in completely different areas, dropping deep near his own half, shifting to the opposite flank. By pulling Vitinha with him, Barcelona tried to exploit the vacated spaces. And here comes the first tactical duel of the match. The involvement of Jules Koundé, Barcelona's right back. He began making deep runs into that same left half space, which Vitinha used to cover. With Vitinha pulled away, the responsibility fell to PSG's left winger, who had to track these movements and prevent Barcelona from gaining superiority. Bradley Barcola handled this really well, working hard defensively, staying disciplined, playing each episode to the end. Vitinha essentially had 2 roles: to support Nuno Mendes on the flank, to man-mark Dani Olmo. Barcelona's idea to overload this side by sending Koundé forward made tactical sense. But Barcola's defensive work was outstanding, reading situations, intercepting passes, and never switching off. That's top-level defensive play. Barcelona tried to target a weakness, but PSG's left winger nullified it with excellent awareness. As the game went on, Hansi Flick pushed Olmo to drop even deeper towards the ball, dragging Vitinha far into Barcelona's half. At the 25th minute, we see Olmo receive the ball in his own half. Vitinha presses him, and immediately Koundé makes a vertical run. But let's be honest, Barcola is one of the fastest players in the world. He covers the gap in no time, slides in, and wins the ball cleanly. A phenomenal defensive action from PSG's left winger. Still, this couldn't last forever. If Barcelona kept repeating this tactical maneuver, constantly attacking down their right flank, chances were bound to come, especially if Barcola couldn't track back every time. That left Vitinha with a double burden: cover Mendes, track Olmo. In a 3 versus 2 scenario on the wing, it's nearly impossible to hold firm forever. If Barcola failed to help out, that flank could collapse under pressure from Barcelona's skilled players. But the goal came from an entirely unexpected situation. Vitinha tried to pass the ball with the outside of his boot. The pass went wrong, intercepted by Yamal. At first, it didn't look too dangerous. A 5v5 transition, with PSG staying compact and blocking the central zone. But then Pedri switched play wide to Marcus Rashford, who delivered a stunning one-touch pass straight into Ferran Torres' path. Perfect execution. Ferran wasn't offside, even though Nuno Mendes raised his hand to signal it. In fact, Mendes completely misjudged the play. When the pass went to Rashford, Mendes spotted Torres, then turned to check Hakimi's position. For some reason, he assumed Torres was offside, but he wasn't. Mendes simply failed to sprint those extra 2 or 3 steps to intercept the ball. As a result, Ferran Torres received comfortably and finished 1-0 to Barcelona. Now let's talk about PSG's attack. If you ask any football fan, I think everyone knows by now that Barcelona's main problem is their high defensive line. That is both their main weakness and their main strength. Barcelona defended in their usual 4-3-3 with a very high line, And there were many moments when PSG could have torn Barcelona apart with a single pass in behind. As we see in this sequence, the holding midfielder Vitinha slid out to the right flank while Hakimi moved inside. Constant position swapping from PSG's players. Look, the holding midfielder has time to lift his head and play a pass in behind, where Fabian Ruiz is already preparing to run, and at least two more players could also make forward runs there if their decision-making and quality were a bit higher. After all, PSG fielded 2 under 18 players, and that clearly affects decision-making and the overall level of play. This is the first opening, and exactly 2 seconds later, another chance appears to play that pass in behind. There's no offside, the defensive line is breached, and in this situation, you can calmly get a one-on-one with Barcelona's goalkeeper. The keeper can't cover such a high defensive line, but PSG's main problem in the first half was that they were afraid to play those passes. I don't know why, but they hesitated. How many chances did they have? Look at this episode. The player with the ball assesses the situation, sees a teammate making a run in behind. There's a moment to play it, and it's wasted. Now PSG's players are offside. In this episode, Barcelona lost the ball from a simple error. An inaccurate pass from Pau Cubarsí. Again, Vitinha receives the ball in midfield, completely alone with no real pressure on him. He lifts his head and sees his partner, but the partner doesn't make vertical forward run. Against such a high Barcelona line, you always have to attack the depth. If I were a coach, I'd want to play against Barcelona because they play with a high defensive line and leave a lot of space behind their defenders. If you keep making those passes in behind, 1, 2, maybe 3, will inevitably go through in a game. A high defensive line cannot always operate in an ultra-safe mode that mops up everything. That's part of Barcelona's tactical profile, but PSG hardly used that option in the first half. Here you can see PSG's forward running along the line, staying onside and shaping the channel for a pass in behind. He stays onside, uses his body well, but the pass never comes. Again, Vitinha has the opportunity to play in behind. Again, Fabian Ruiz makes a vertical opening, but Vitinha holds the ball too long and for some reason plays out to the flank, where nobody even responds to the pass. Another chance wasted. Hakimi then gets the ball on the flank. Again an opening to attack the depth. Fabian Ruiz times his run on the offside line perfectly and is ready to break away, but again no pass is played. The ball is recycled backwards. So yes, PSG really didn't exploit the chances that Barcelona's formation offered in the first half. The goal to me came in a rather odd way, one that didn't reflect the logical flow of the first half. It was a build-up from PSG's 4-3-3, a pass to Nuno Mendes, who in this sequence did absolutely everything. He started the attack. Nuno Mendes combined with a teammate on the flank and carried the move forward. In this episode, Mendes ran more than 60 meters himself, beginning the attack from his own penalty area and finishing up near the opponent's box, then played a pass to PSG's young striker, Senny Mayulu. There was definitely a mistake from Pau Cubarsí, who fails to reach the ball. The striker gets the ball, takes 2 touches and fires, and scores 1-1, a result that, honestly, didn't really reflect the first half's pattern. Barcelona had been the better side in the first half. There's more important context from the first half. One detail is the yellow card for Nuno Mendes for fouling Lamine Yamal. This incident didn't really influence the game at the moment, but it would matter later, as we'll discuss. By the end of the first half, PSG finally started attempting passes in behind to their players, but these came from positions that didn't create much danger. Mostly, the passes originated from their own half, and the runs were easily controlled by Barcelona, as you can see in the screenshots. So PSG didn't really exploit Barcelona's high line in the first half. The second half, however, brought many interesting tactical elements. First, note that Bradley Barcola switched from the left flank to the right, becoming the right winger. Next, look at PSG's build-up. From a tactical standpoint, it was perfect. PSG's 4-3-3. Luis Enrique understood that Barcelona's right-back Koundé would press high, targeting PSG's left-back Nuno Mendes, which he did. Meanwhile, PSG's left winger stayed wide, so both the left back and left winger operated in the same corridor. This creates a dilemma. One Barcelona player has to cover two PSG players in the same channel. If Koundé pushes higher and man marks the left back, you get a 2 versus 1 situation on the flank, where a Barcelona center back is left to handle a striker and a winger. This is exactly how Luis Enrique stretched Barcelona with PSG's build-up. In this sequence, PSG played a pass where the center back had to split attention between two options. At the 53rd minute, PSG executed an attack thanks to this brilliant build-up setup. The center back was caught behind the ball line, but PSG couldn't fully finish the move, though Barcola did take a shot. Overall, PSG's counterattacks in the second half were extremely dangerous. Here's a set piece. A Barcelona cross is caught by PSG goalkeeper Chevalier, who immediately throws it out. PSG players turn on the speed instantly, leading to a 3v2 counterattack. Dani Olmo commits a tactical foul and receives a yellow card. Honestly, this was a necessary foul to stop the counter. Another sequence. Barcelona executes a free kick with a near-post run. Vitinha reads the pass perfectly, intercepts, and PSG instantly launches a counterattack at full speed, a 3 versus 3 in open space. PSG executed these counters brilliantly in the second half, but lacked some technical precision. Misplaced passes or poor first touches prevented goal-scoring opportunities. Barcelona also had counterattack moments in the second half. Around the 60th minute, both teams exchanged quick transitions, one leading to a very controversial moment: Yamal versus Nuno Mendes on the flank. Mendes, already on a yellow card, fouls almost on the edge of the box. This was clearly outside the penalty area, not a penalty. I've analyzed matches officiated by Michael Oliver before. He's a referee many in England dislike because he rarely favors anyone, but can destroy a game entirely. I'm 100% sure that in England, this would have been a second yellow and a red card. I don't know why it wasn't called here. If Mendes had been sent off at the 61st minute, PSG would have been down to 10 and Barcelona would likely have sealed the game. For me, this was unquestionably a red card. By contrast, a Barcelona player received a yellow card later in the match in this episode. I'm not suggesting bias, but the referee's performance today was subpar. For a neutral fan, however, these referee decisions added drama and excitement. In that sense, it made the game very entertaining. Another interesting tactical pattern in the second half. As mentioned, Barcola moved to the right wing, and together with Hakimi, they exploited that flank. Barcola dropped slightly deeper, drawing attention from 2 or 3 Barcelona players, while Hakimi makes a forward run on the flank. This sets up a fast PSG attack with further opportunities down the line. In this episode, Hakimi could have tried a curved pass into depth or played directly to his teammate's feet, who would then take the first touch forward into space. Instead, Hakimi simply switched play to the opposite flank, which killed the sharpness of the attack. These Hakimi-Barcola combinations became a constant pattern for PSG in the second half, with Hakimi bombing up the right touchline consistently with quality and intent. Now let's move to the most interesting part: PSG's late winning goal. PSG's build-up begins under Barcelona's high pressing. Barcelona, playing at home and eager to win, push very high up the pitch. Even their center-back steps unusually far forward. Surrounded by 4 Barcelona players, PSG player draws all of their attention. Because the center-back is out of position, Barcelona's defensive midfielder tries to cover for him, while the left-back also feels compelled to shift centrally. And let's be honest, the central area of the pitch is always the highest risk zone, so it's natural that they tried to shift there to compensate the zone there. But here's the problem. The center back suddenly races back to his position, completely unsynchronized with the left back's movement. Now both the left back and the center back are occupying the same defensive zone, leaving Barcelona's defensive shape totally broken. This chaotic pressing sequence leaves the flank completely open. Hakimi finds himself in acres of space, receives the ball wide, and with his very first touch, aggressively drives forward. The space ahead of him is practically half the pitch. At this moment, PSG striker Gonzalo Ramos is actually in an offside position, and Barcelona defenders don't even pay attention to him. But after Hakimi's first touch, Ramos cleverly holds his run, timing it to perfection. That's the level of detail you need at PSG, knowing how to reset your position and stay in line with the ball. Hakimi then plays a simple, clean pass into Ramos, impossible to intercept. And of course, that's the kind of chance you simply must finish. PSG take a massive away victory. And let's not forget, PSG did this missing a whole group of key players and with 2 attackers under 18 years old starting the game. For me, what Luis Enrique did here was nothing short of phenomenal. He tactically outplayed Barcelona, despite some controversial refereeing calls. This was truly a spectacular game. And I have to admit, not many matches I watch evoke this kind of emotion in me anymore. But this one absolutely did. And now looking at the poll results on your screens, many of you believe Barcelona would be the favorites here. But as it turns out, you can never write PSG off. They are the reigning Champions League winners, and with this match, they've already shown they are ready to fight for the trophy again this season. Make sure to like the video, share your thoughts in the comments. What did you think of the refereeing tonight? What stood out to you in Luis Enrique's tactical setup? And don't forget to subscribe for more football analysis content.